Yo guys, what's up, it's Krypz, and today I'm going to be showing you all the Meridian Constellation sets on all three characters. Now if you don't know, these are the Ornaments sets towards the end of the season of the Lost Pass. Now I'm basically going to be showing you all the sets on all three characters, with different armor combos as well as shaders. So I'd really appreciate it if you left a like and consider subscribing to the channel, as I tried to get this video out as soon as I could for you all. But yeah, I will leave timestamps on screen right now, so you could skip ahead to whichever set you really want to see. And yeah, without further ado, it's time we get straight into the sets. So I'm going to be starting off with the Hunter set. Now if you only want to see the shaders, then I will leave a timestamp on screen right now. But yeah, I'll basically be going over each piece individually, and then also showing some armor and exotic combinations. So firstly, if you didn't know, this set can fully shader, even the glow on the pouch here. Now looking more into the helmet, I went ahead and took off the hood so you can see the actual shape of it. And honestly, I don't think this will be good for a hoodless look, so I would recommend just going with hoods on this. Now we can see this really nice crystal in the face, which is affected by shaders, with some shaders going a darker colour with still a bit of a purple tint, and then others like Omnicronia going with a gold with a red tint as well. So it really depends on the shader what colour you're going to come out with on the crystal. But one thing I do want to point out is the shaders like Gambit Jadestone, which are known to be quite glow heavy, cannot affect this crystal whatsoever. There is no glow potential, unfortunately. So yeah, like I said, you want to stick with having a hood on, but there are still some really good shaders for this, like Seven Sisters. As you can see, because of the cloth, there is a bit of a galaxy texture on the sides here, and also it creates a really nice dark blue look on the crystal. So overall, I don't think this helmet is bad at all. Now moving on to the arms here. Something I do want to point out is that if you like asymmetrical pieces, then you will really love this set. Pretty much the entire set except the helmet is asymmetrical. Now I want to start off by saying that these daggers cannot glow either. They shaded the exact same way as the crystal does on the helmet. And again, I want to show you all that they will not glow. However, they do appear when you have a bow in hand, so that is something quite nice about them. Now you will have to be careful with some shaders, as with Omnicronia here you will get a lighter look on the cloth, whereas on the right shoulder piece is a bit of plating, so it will shader that gold. And it is quite weird that Omnicronia doesn't shader this white a dark colour. I don't know if that's a bug with this, because with other shaders you can actually make it fully black, and you can even make a galaxy effect like with Seven Sisters, and this set is really good with a shader, as I'll show you all later. But yeah, moving on to the chest plate, it's pretty similar to the arms where one side has got more cloth than the other, so obviously it'll be the left hand side here. Now if you are expecting the underplating to be quite shiny in colour, it actually doesn't come off that shiny at all. As you can see with Omnicronia, it actually shaders exactly like the Pathfinder, where it's like a plated look but it doesn't really go that shiny. So that's something you do want to keep in mind about this chest plate. And like I mentioned, the glow here does change colour. Now it will completely depend on the glow colour that is linked to the shader. For example, red is the glow colour for Abyssinian Gold, so it will come off red. Then as for the boots, one of my favourite pieces of this set. It's quite awkward to shader though, to be honest. As you could see, because we got a mixture of both plating on the top right and the bottom left, and then cloth on the top left and some straps on the bottom right, so it's a bit odd with how I'll shader here. And then as for the cloak, my favourite piece of this set, as you can see, a really awesome look, really great fur on the front here as well, will especially look good in like an Arctic set. And this as well can shader fully black with Abyssinian Gold, so if you do want a nice black cloak, then this will be great. The fur can change all different colours as well. So yeah, now moving on, I'm going to be showing you all some armor recommendations with this set. So firstly, we have the Pathfinder pieces. You can pretty much use any of the pieces in this set, but I'm going to mainly show the helmet here, as I know a lot of people really like that. Now the great thing about this cloak as well is the fact that if you do go with a darker shader, it does cast a nice shadow over the head, allowing the glow in the eyes to stick out even more. And you can even try creating your own Queen's Guard set by pairing it with the Oathkeeper's exotic, so you can even pair it with the Wish Ender bow. And then I also mixed in the Namean and Strides, which is from this season's eververse, and then also the Amrita's Dream shader, which is also from the pass. Now you could even use the cloak in an Arctic Explorer set. As you could see, I used the Neoteric Cult mask here from the Eververse archive, the Siegebreak arms from the Season of Arrivals pass, then Christocrene on the vest and strides, and Bitter Pearl from the Vault of Glass raid over the entire set to get a nice white look. Now I also want to point out that the Great Hunt vest isn't very good with this cloak here. As you can see, there's a lot of visible clipping. Now you could instead use the other pieces of this set, as they are also really nice. But yeah, they're pretty much all the armor recommendations I wanted to give you all. Now I'm going to be going over what I think are the best shaders with this set. So starting off, we have Omnicronia. Now I really love the light look that Omnicronia gives to the cloth here, creating a really nice contrast between the black and white. Now you could even use Omnicronia just to get a nice black and white cloak, as there is no visible gold, but unfortunately this shader is no longer obtainable as it was from the Victory Over the Vault bundle, which was removed from the game. Then moving on, we have Grand Luster from the Solstice. Now if you did manage to get this, it does have a very unique texture on the cloak here, and also pairs very well into plated pieces. Then we have Seven Sisters, which can sometimes be sold in the Bright Dust store. Like I mentioned, one of the nicest shaders on this set. Because it is mostly cloth, it will get that galaxy texture throughout, and I just especially love the cloak as well. It has a nice blend between a dark blue and a light blue, and it also keeps that nice texture on the cloak too, so you also get those really nice patterns. Then next we have Abyssinian Gold. Like I mentioned, this is going to be great for any of you wanting some really dark shaders for like an all black look. Especially on the cloak here, there's no visible brown, so you can use this shader on this cloak for a blackout set. Then moving on, we have Carbon Blood, another shader which can sometimes be sold in the Bright Dust store. Overall a nice white with a few hints of dark colours and then a very nice red shine. Then there's also Rustberry with a really nice contrast between black and white, with some really dark blacks, especially on the helmet here, with a really nice purple coming through, and this also is really bright on the cloak where it pretty much hides the patterning. Then next we have Dawning Celebration, which is from the Dawning event. On this cloak especially, if you just want to use it on the cloak, that could also look really good. As you could see on the back as well, there is some patterning from the actual shader itself, so it will apply to all these different pieces, giving it a really unique look. Then next we have Grayscale Undergrowth, which can sometimes be sold in the Bright Dust store. A highly underrated shader with some really nice blacks with some pops of white and also a nice creamish brown. It's overall just a really good shader, and I'd highly recommend trying this one out. Then next we have Dreaming Cast and also Dreaming Spectrum. Now on this set I actually prefer Dreaming Cast. It has a very nice reddish colour on that cloak, and this is just in general a very nice shader. Now if you don't know how to get them, Dreaming Spectrum can drop from the Last Wish raid, whereas Dreaming Cast can drop from Dreaming City gear. Now some final shaders that I really like is New Monarchy Succession from the Year 1 faction rally. Bungie really need to reintroduce these, I think they're so good, some of these shaders. Then we also have Metro Shift from the shader bundle in the Eververse archive. A very nice blue and black look if you want that. Then there's Bitter Pill for an all white from the Vault of Glass raid. Then there's also Fated Copper, which looks pretty good on this set and is actually the new Gambit shader for this season. And then finally we have Callus's Treasured from the Prestige Leviathan. I really just love the gold fur on this cloak here. So yeah, that's pretty much the Hunter set. Overall I think it's a very good set. In particular, the cloak is the best piece, giving a really unique look with that fur. But yeah, I would love to hear what you think of it in the comments below. And now it's time we move on to the Titan set. So this is the Titan set. Now if you just want to skip ahead to the shaders, then I will leave a timestamp on screen. But yeah, I'm basically going to be showing you each piece individually, as well as some armor that combos really well with it. So starting off with the helmet, this is my favourite piece of the set, offering some nice curves going over the top here, and a really nice gem just like the Hunter set. Now the gem here is more prominent, coming all the way down the face, and this also shaders the exact same way as the Hunter, with the gem being fully shadable, although offering no glow whatsoever. As you could see with Gambit Jadestone, one of the brightest shaders in the game. Now as well as this, the wraps on the side of the helmet here, as you could see, will not shader a cloth colour, so Seven Sisters will not create a galaxy effect. I felt that this was a bit of a missed opportunity with the helmet. If it did create a galaxy texture, then I think it could have looked really awesome here, but I still think the helmet is still really nice. Now moving on to the arms, this gives me a lot of Nordic vibes. If any of you have seen the Nordic armor on Skyrim, the patterning here somewhat resembles that armor patterning, and I overall quite like it. On the male Titan, they ain't actually like overly bulky, as you could see, and the difference between this and the Hunter set is that in fact the arms are symmetrical, although the rest of the set except from the helmet isn't. Now these arms also have some fur on the end here. if you didn't see that. So it does mean if you use shaders like Seven Sisters here, then it will give a bit of a galaxy texture, although unfortunately it will shader it mostly yellow. And as well as this, on the inner side of the arm there is cushioning, which does mean that with some shaders it will shader the secondary colour on the inside here. Then moving on to the chest plate, really nice fur look. I love how the fur comes down further here, and it also runs all the way down the back, sort of the same way where they just meet towards underneath the arm. As you can see, it does tuck underneath here. Now it is a bit wide towards the bottom end of the chest. It doesn't really get that much thinner. It pretty much stays like the same width throughout, so it will look a bit chunky with some marks. Then moving on, the boots here. I really do love the boots, although as you can see there's some wraps on the right leg where it isn't present here. Now there is something you've also got to watch out for, and that is the fact that the knee plates and the plating on the thighs are actually different to the ones on the shins. So they will shade it differently with some shaders, although I still don't think it looks bad. With shaders like Conflagrate though, I think it would have been nice having the shin also silver to contrast the red fur. And then as for the mark, as you can see, now this can come off a bit bulky, but as you can see with a more slim down chest towards the bottom, it still comes off quite large, mainly because of these pouches here. Unfortunately they are a bit big. I don't know how it would look like on a female, but I'd imagine it'd be quite a lot slimmer. And then there's also this patterning on the side of the mark, which you can try and disguise with some shaders, although it will still be present. So yeah, overall it's not a bad set. There's also a bunch of like scuff marks on the arms here, giving it more of a worn down look, which is quite nice. And I could definitely see people trying to create like a Viking sort of look with these arms here. So now I'm going to be going over some alternative armor pieces you can pair with a set. First I want to start off with the Ursa Furiosa Exotic with the Ursus Maritimus Ornament. Now this can really work well in this set, mainly because of the fur here. Now when you are trying to pair this into this set, it will have an unshadable white fur. That's why I recommend pairing it with Amrita's Dream, which is actually the shader from the pass. You could change up the other pieces, for example, maybe choosing the Christocrine or even the Iron Will, and pretty much you can make like an Arctic sort of explorer set on the Titan. Now you could also try and pair with the Icefall Mantle, specifically the helmet. So what you could try and do is use this gem design to try and make it look more icy. Now the Sunbreak plate here, if you're wondering, is from the Eververse archive. The Braytech snow boots are from Mars packages, which did get removed, and then the mark is the Lucid Night mark from the Dawning event, and this is also where you could get the shader. And some other pieces that could work in this set would be the Solstice 2020 ornament. As you can see, I went with the Arc Glow with vintage timber over the entire set, and then I also switched out the mark for the Namean for a bit of a slimmer look. Now I also like vintage timber because it creates a pulsating blue glow, which also matches with the arc glow we have on the ornaments here. Now you could try to incorporate the other Namean pieces into the set. For example, here we have the helmet, although to be honest with you, I don't think this works as well with the chest plate. So you could instead just use the arms and boots here, and they could fit pretty well. And then finally, for any of you wondering, this is what Omnicronia looks like with the Cuirass Fallen Star. Now personally, I think this works better with the Namean pieces from the Eververse than it does with these ornaments here, so personally I would not recommend this. So yeah, they're pretty much all the armor recommendations. I'm now going to show you all some of the best shaders I think work with this Titan set. So starting off we have Omnicronia. I really do just love this gold look, especially on the gem here with some really nice reds coming through as well. It's just a very unique shader, but unfortunately no longer obtainable. Then next we have Seven Sisters, for any of you wondering. It has a bit more of that yellow going throughout the set, which is personally the thing that I really don't like about the shader. But I can see where people could use this on the helmet if they do want to avoid the bit of that yellow. Then next we have Abyssinian Gold. It's actually fairly good at creating a dark look with a shader. And I think if you're looking for a nice dark shader on the chest, then this is a really nice one. Although be careful of the brown on the back here. Then next we have Horizon's Blush from the Season of the Hunt pass. This one looks really nice with that red fur, and also the helmet looks really cool with like a really nice pink sort of ruby look to it. Then next there is Carbon Blood. Now this especially looks amazing on a black and red look for this helmet, so definitely recommend this if you want to create that very clean black and red look. Then moving on we have Rustberry, a very nice black and white look pretty much throughout the entire set. There's a little bit of brown visible here, but the helmet again just stands out perfectly. Very nice black look with a really cool purple gem. Then for any of you wondering, this is what Jadestone looks like. It doesn't have much glow at all, so we won't really benefit from this. Then next we have Grayscale Undergrowth, a really underrated shader. Very nice dark colours in this with a really nice pop of like white in some areas. And I especially love the helmet here. Then next we have Dreaming Cast and also Dreaming Spectrum. Both of these shaders are really awesome shaders from the Dreaming City. Dreaming Spectrum coming from the Last Wish raid. And if you notice, when light shines, it does go a bit of a pinkish colour from purple, so that's also a really nice touch with the fur. Then we also have Metro Shift for any of you want a nice black and blue. It does have some silver, but it isn't really overpowering in this set. Then there's also Callus' Treasured, very nice gold look on that fur, but you can also use Selected if you want to as well. There's Feated Copper, which is the new Gambit shader, and I really do love it on this helmet here. Is a very unique shader, and I am sure to make a video very soon on it. And then finally we also have Rose Gold, which is the new Crucible shader. Has a bit of a carbon fiber texture with the red, but I do think it's a good red shader for any of you which are new to the game. So yeah, that's pretty much the Titan set. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and now it's time we move on to the Warlock set. Now if you only want to see the shaders, then I will leave a timestamp on screen, but yeah, I will be going over each of the individual pieces, as well as some armor recommendations. So start off with the helmet here. Again, the same sort of gem face look. Now again, the set is fully shaderable, and the shard here shaders the exact same way as with the Titan and the Hunter, and doesn't offer any glow whatsoever. Now personally, I'm not a huge fan of this helmet because of these pointy bits at the top. I would have preferred if it had none of them at all, and it just had like a rounded look. That's personally what I prefer. So as you can see, this is literally the arms here. Pretty much nothing at all to it. It is the same on both sides. Very simple wraps. It is good if you want something very simple, but for a seasonal pass ornament is very underwhelming. Now what I think they should have done is had this plating on the bond here sort of extended out across the arm and have some like really nice Nordic plating leading up to like the fist here. I think that would have been a much better ornament. Then moving on to the robes, what I think is the best piece of this entire set. It has a lot of fur coming around the back here, even on the arms. There's only one complaint I have about this. Now as you can see, what they've gone ahead and done here is flattened out the fur so that the bonds can like have no visible clipping. Now this was a smart choice, except how it comes up the top here does look quite awkward to me compared to the left arm. It does look much bigger now. So that to me is just a little nitpick that I don't really like about the Warlock robes. Other than that, the rest of the robes to me are probably one of my favourite robes in the game. Something I especially love is the fact that there's a separate pattern in here. I really do love this contrast, so that's really awesome as well. Then moving on to the boots, I went ahead and switched the robes out so you can see them better. As you can see, they're not too bad. They actually put a bit more like detail into this compared to like the arms, so that's good to see. Unfortunately though, it will be quite awkward to pair into symmetrical sets because of this white plating on the top of the leg. So obviously when you use like shaders like Omnicronia or anything with like a nice shine on plating, it'll really stick out because of the straps here. So if you are trying to keep it quite minimal with a bit of gold, then it will be hard to hide this. And then finally the bond. As you can see, it does have a bit of a glow. Now I don't know if this is meant to be slightly off center because it is a bit weird how in this inspect it comes more to the left. I don't know if that's just me being weird about it, but it is clipping through, so I imagine this is not intentional. And also something I want to point out is the fact that the glow does also shader. So yeah, that's pretty much the Warlock set. I'm not too happy about the arms at all, to be honest with you. I think it was a wasted opportunity for some really good plated arms for the Warlock. Now I want to show you what I'd personally do with the set, and that is to replace the arms with the claws of Ahamkara to sort of match the fur with the feathers, and then also switch out the helmet for the new Namean set from the Eververse, with the wings here sort of matching with that feather theme. And overall I think this is much better. You obviously get rid of those like very basic arms, and for me the helmet here I think just looks much better. Now what you could also try and do with the Namean pieces again is pair it with the Skull of Dire Ahamkara with the Hateful Wish ornament, get Abyssinian Gold and try and create a more sinister look. And then you could also go with a set like this, using more like glow pieces and obviously Seven Sisters to create a sort of galaxy look. Now I went with Dawn in Elegance on the arms and boots to make them a bit of a better blue to match with the fur here. Even if you want to switch out for a more minimal glow, going with the Solstice 2020, then I also think this can look really nice. But yeah, now it's time I show you some of the best shaders with this set. So starting off, we have Omnichronia. Now I really like the shader for a dark look on the robes here. That's particularly the piece I think that stands out, and maybe even the boots as well. Then next we have Grand Luster, one of my favourite shaders for the Warlock. I always find this to work really well across so many robes, and like you've seen with the set I showed, it can look really nice. Then moving on, we have Seven Sisters, like I showed just then as well, can look really nice with these robes, and this shader can sometimes be sold in the Bright Dust store. Now another shader that can come from the Bright Dust store is Abyssinian Gold, a very nice dark look as well. I would mainly use this on the robes and the boots if you are trying to create a blackout set. Then we have Horizon's Blush, often a really nice red on the fur here. Again, the robes are pretty much the highlight with this shader, and I do actually like the gem on the helmet here, giving a bit of a pinkish tint, so that's also really nice. But unfortunately this was from the Season of the Hunt pass. Now moving on to Carbon Blood, a really nice black and red shader with some really nice whites coming towards the bottom of the set. And I also think the Mind Strider's ornament could look really nice with these robes and this shader, as you're going from a black to white contrast, which also is the same thing with the boots, leading to a white glow. Then next we have Dawning Elegance, a shader from the Dawning event, obviously really nice white and purple with a slight gold. Overall it's a really nice look, especially on the robes again. Then moving on, we have Warbrick. I really do love the shader colour here, with this nice silverish fur, matching with the red as well, and this shader can sometimes be sold in the Bright Dust store. Then next we have Dreaming Cast and also Dreaming Spectrum. Like with all of them, they all look really good with Dreaming Cast and Spectrum here. I especially love Spectrum, like I mentioned earlier. With that fur colour, it just looks so nice together, and you can get these shaders from the Dreaming City, with Dreaming Spectrum dropping from the Last Wish raid. Then there's Callus's Treasured, offering a mostly gold. I really do love the gold fur on this, so that looks really awesome, but unfortunately is no longer obtainable. And in the final few we have Bitter Pearl, which is from the Vault of Glass raid, and it's great for you new players if you want an almost all white shader. Then there's Fetid Copper, the new Gambit shader. I really do like this, like I mentioned on my Titan. I think this is really cool, has a bit of a corrosive look, so this is also really nice. And then finally the new Crucible shader, which doesn't look too bad on this set. So yeah, that's pretty much all the sets. Now go ahead and leave a comment of which one you think is best, and also what you like about each set. I'll try to respond to every single comment that I can. But yeah, I'd also really appreciate it if you left a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel, as I grinded as hard as I could for you all so I could get this video out. And yeah, I just really hope this helps you all out. You won't really have to grind at all this season, as it does end in February, so you could just play on and off and you should hit it. But yeah, I just want to say thank you all so much for the amazing support on these past few videos. It's been absolutely incredible. And if you haven't already, go ahead and join my Discord server. And yeah, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video.